Who's the biggest fish that you haven't landed yet?
Carpenter. We just can't get him out of the office. Like, we can't get him out of his house. So we're thinking, like, if we can lure him in with like a bong and an Xbox, if it means that I have to blow him over, like listening to Prince of Darkness over and over again for years, I'll make it happen. You hear me, John? Right here, right here. It's gonna happen.
Key soundbite.
Hello everyone, I'm Ian Start.
I'm sorry, I choked on my own spit.
This is Clarke Wolfe. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Ian Start.
And I'm Clarke Wolfe, and welcome to the Skybound Insider.
So we've brought you all here today to this specific web address to celebrate the horror genre. And since you're helping us celebrate by watching this video, we're gonna help you celebrate by presenting this interview with genre filmmaker Joe Lynch.
The guy has made films such as Wrong Turn 2, Nights of Badassdom, Everly, and the upcoming Mayhem, which stars The Walking Dead favorite Steven Yeun. On top of that, he hosts a podcast with buddy filmmaker Adam Green called The Movie Crypt, which is a great tool for fans and aspiring filmmakers alike to learn about the industry from all types of creative beings. People. They're people. So enjoy this interview between two human beings. Joe, thank you for chatting today.
It is so nice to actually be here in the Skybound dungeon.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm here, but I guess we're gonna find out.
You're here because you are a jack of all trades when it comes to making movies.
And a master of none.
How did you actually get started doing what it is that you do?
When I was growing up, I was so obsessed with movies in general, and one of the first people that I was completely obsessed with was Tom Savini. And he was like kind of the godfather of splatter back in the day. And when I was growing up, that was really where horror movies were at that point, from like the late 70s until like say 86, 87. Splatter was it, and Savini was kind of a god to so many people. He even had this video that Fangoria produced called Scream Greats Volume 1.
Come and take a peek at everything on the screen that makes you scream with the man who's created some of the scariest moments in horror history.
And I must have worn that VHS out, because not only was it about his life and kind of the history of makeup effects, even back to like the Lon Chaney days where Lon Chaney would do his own makeup, and he really was like the influence that got Savini going. You
have experience in all facets of movie making, it sounds like, from the effects to in front of the camera, behind the camera.
My catering is fantastic.
Yeah, I believe it. I can't wait to eat the cupcakes. Getting these movies made is a challenge for anybody. How would you say you craft a good pitch?
When I got the call for, this is weird, all right, so my manager, Luke Rivet, he IM'd me and said like, hey, would you be interested in doing Wrong Turn 2? And immediately I was like, yes, because I loved the first Wrong Turn. He sent me the script and I read the script and went like, I know this movie, I got this. And there's this crucial moment in the beginning of the film where this reality show star gets stopped. She makes a wrong turn. And bad things happen, and she ends up getting attacked by these two guys. But right at the crucial moment where you're supposed to see what happens to her, they cut to black. It says in the script, cut to black. But I went, no, you gotta show it. I was able to go into pitch, and I storyboarded the entire opening scene. Now, in most cases, you don't do that. Like, if anything, you go in and you just have a meeting. Maybe you have some notes. I went in with a 30-page Bible on everything that I needed to kind of pitch to them about casting, the look of the movie, down to the color of the rust on the trucks. I want to show you everything, including this opening scene, and how much I think we should show that ending, but here's how I want to do it. So the point is that when it comes to pitching, you really have to go in there, your guns blazing. Like, and if there's anything that you think in the back of your head, like, God, wouldn't it be great if I did like a fake trailer? Or wouldn't it be great if I like broke the script down and knew all the backstories behind the characters? The more prepared you can be in that pitch, the better. Because if you think like, oh, well, I'll get to that in the second meeting, more likely than not, you don't get that second meeting. So you have to make the best first impression possible. I want to talk about truth in journalism. Wow. Because I think that is so
It was super fun to watch. The performances are great. The payoff is awesome, but it is stylistically very unique. And I think that it's really interesting that only a few years later, not only do you have a solo Venom movie in production, but you have something like Logan, which, you know, has a black and white kind of cut and all of that. So can you talk a little bit about, you know, your influences and the making of that?
Did you ever see the movie Man Bites Dog?
Oh, I think a long time ago.
Okay. That's what I made.
Yeah.
I love that movie so much. It really affected me when it came out back in '91. And for those who've never seen it before, it's really one of the first found footage movies. It's about a camera crew in Belgium that follows a serial killer. And now I say that and you go like, oh boy, and it's done in black and white and it's 16 millimeter and it's really hardcore. Like, it's so hardcore that they had to cut out like a 3-minute scene to avoid an X rating that you can find on a Criterion disc of some sort. But it's a brutal movie. It's also one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Il était gentil. Il était affectueux, il était gentil, il riait tout le temps, tout le temps.
Oui, instrument. Piano? No. Le bon verre
Because while this crew who keep getting killed throughout, like there's a running joke that the boom guy keeps like dying, so it's almost like Spinal Tap meets Seven in a way, but the guy is so charming and he's spouting, you know, these soliloquies and all this poetry, and next thing you know, he's like choking out an old lady, you know, and it really messes with your brain because you're like, am I supposed to laugh? I don't know. But the aesthetic of it was so wonderful because it was one of the first movies that I had ever seen where, this is before Blair Witch, you know, other than maybe like David Holtzman's Diary from back in the day, that played with the aesthetic of a documentary and did it in a way that made you, like, really made you feel like, is this real? I can't tell. So I love that movie, and I loved the character of Venom. Like, he's one of my favorite Marvel characters. So I just, in the room, I just went like, Venom meets Man Bites Dog. This thing was made with just spit and vinegar and 59 cents and a roll of duct tape.
What are you guys shooting on? Film. Oh, film. How quaint. Because we're shooting on video. High fidelity, shoot as much as you want, wait for the future shit. Film's as dead as disco.
We'll talk about some of your favorite films here.
If you ask any movie fan, if they have like one list, they're not a movie fan. Like,
oh, totally.
Like, my list changes with the breeze, you know? Like one day, there's a movie on my list that I forgot how influential it was to me until I recently watched it like 2 weeks ago.
Is it Duel?
Nope.
Is it, what is it?
Something Wild.
That was my next guess.
Jonathan Demme's Something Wild.
That was my next guess.
Pleased to meet you.
Wait, where are we going?
I've never done anything like this before.
Don't worry, Charlie, I have.
I mean, look straight, you know, but right down in here, that's where it counts. Deep down, I got what it takes.
It's almost as if you were watching Pretty Woman and then your asshole older brother came in and turned on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's kind of like Audition in a way, you know, where tonally this movie changes gears so abruptly, but yet it works. That kind of tonal roller coaster really affected me because to me, life is a tonal roller coaster.
Life is a blend of all of these things.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's not just one or the other. So Tobe Hooper just passed.
Yes.
And I bring up Tobe and I bring up the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I think it is truly a perfect blend of everything we've talked about.
Yeah.
From the practical effects to watching these actors who you're like, is this real? Is this like a faux documentary almost? To some darkly comical things. Yeah. It just seems like a great combination of your interests and passions.
Yeah, Tobe was a huge influence on me. And it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 that I saw first. And the reason why was because of the box.
Of
because
course.
I loved 16 Candles. Yeah. And they were like, wait a second, they made a 16 Candles
Breakfast
version.
Club.
It was Breakfast Club. They made a Breakfast Club version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That'll be fine. And when I saw that, and it was also Tom Savini.
Yeah.
And some of Tom Savini's best work. But Texas 2 was a huge influence on me as well, especially with Wrong Turn 2, because it really blended horror and comedy together so blatantly. Now, Tobe is just one of those guys that I'll never forget, because he taught me that anybody can make movies, and you don't have to be in Hollywood. You can be in Austin, Texas, and you can get a bunch of buddies together with a chainsaw and a couple bucks and change the world.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
If you're picking up what Joe is laying down, then check out the full interview. You'll get some tasty bites such as how Joe prepares and crafts a pitch, some of his most influential films, and more about the new film Mayhem.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Like and subscribe to the channel, follow us on Facebook, and keep an eye out for Mayhem. The genre needs your eyeballs, so show some support and go watch a horror movie tonight. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
I thought we weren't doing boo-bye.
Oh, we're always doing it. Forever.
Ghost transition.